Hello, and today we'll continue with Leigh's route. We ended up running into Alice along the way, and she was larger than both Victor and Leigh. Hell, she looked like she could bench 5 of me. She's a large hyena with a deep brown fur color, with plenty of lighter patches to highlight her features, as well as plenty of black spots. Similar to Leigh, she's not properly wearing her jumpsuit, and her sports bra is very visibly stained. What catches my attention the most that is that her biceps is larger than almost every other guy here. The other person who could compete with her is Colin, and I wasn't able to get a good look to see which was muscle or which was fat. I bet an arm wrestling contest between the two of them would be intense. But out of everyone we've met so far, she was easily the most sociable. While Victor and Colin were nice, they were nowhere near as easy to talk to. We didn't have long to talk, though. Only a few words of introductions before she had to head off carrying a large box of parts that explains all the muscle. Leigh talked just as casually with her as he did with the rest of them. It wasn't as personal as he is with his sister, but there's a sense of normality that he doesn't have with other people from what I've seen. They truly are his family, even if it's more like an extended family you only visit on the holidays. You're close enough that you just consider them family, but not so close that you walk around the house in your underwear while they were there. Now it's just the two of us walking down the footpath, going towards wherever Leigh had planned for us to go. Not that I complain, not that I can complain. The company is nice, and that whole trip left me in a good mood. They seem nice. They're good people. Even Vicky can be a pain in the ass. At least Alice can keep him in check. He knows she'll kick his ass if he fucks up too much. She was huge. I don't think I've ever met a girl as big as her. Don't tell her that. It makes it sound like you think she's fat. What? That's not what I meant. I know, kid. She will too. I'm just messing with you. Leigh was making a joke. He was teasing me. Leigh, the workplace environment must have really put him in a specific mood because he normally never acts like this. It reminds me of the friendly banter him and Charlie have. Speaking of, where's Charlie? I thought we were meeting with her. She'll meet us along the way. There's a convenience store along the way. She'll be waiting there. Where we're going anyway. For some reason that makes Leigh hesitate, which is extra strange considering this is something to do with Helena. Why is that giving him pause? It doesn't last too long before he answers, but there's a crest in his brow that still hasn't disappeared. It's the shelter that Helena's friend Mercedes used to work at. According to her Twitter, she used to go volunteer there a lot after coming from Everwinter. Helena used to come with her too. Oh, so the owner probably knows them pretty well. And the people staying there too. It's a shelter for kids who ran away from home. Kids who ran away from home? Yeah, sometimes kids run because of a shitty home life. Maybe their parents kicked them out or they just need to get away. I spent a little time here. Charlie didn't have to, thankfully. She visited a lot, though, so she's familiar with it. She wanted to see how it was coming along and say hi to some familiar faces. You stay in a homeless shelter? I must have sounded a little too surprised because, while he hides it well, he gives a small wince at my words that causes my heart to instantly sink. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I was just surprised. It's okay, kid. It's not something I'm embarrassed of. It wasn't for too long, just until I could get on my feet. The owner's a great woman. She helped me get the apartment where I stayed. She did? Yeah, she pulled a few strings and was able to find someone who'd be willing to take a chance on me despite my unique circumstances. It's hard to find someone willing to rent to you in a place like this without good security. That's amazing. She sounds like a great person if she's able to help you out. People must really love her if she has that much pull. She does. That's another reason why I thought coming here might be a good idea. She'll definitely know stuff about the Helena situation. And I don't visit her enough. I expected there to be a pain expression on his face, but all the hesitation he'd been wearing through the conversation has completely melted away to a fonder expression. He looks almost nostalgic. I'm about to ask more until he meets my eyes and nods away and nods ahead of us, following where he's gesturing. I'm able to see a familiar face leaning against the side of a building sucking one popsicle. Charlie's just watching the two of us, not making any effort to make up the ground between us. Instead, she just opts to stare at the two of us with the biggest grin on her face that I could put also the same. It's no wonder the two of them get along so well. Where did you get the money for that? The smaller possum just rolls her eyes and pushes off the wall, not bothering to greet either of us, instead not bothering to greet either of us beyond an acknowledging eyebrow raise in my direction. I want to bet. You want to bet? Oh yeah. One of the soccer guys on the boys team bet that I couldn't outrun him. The smaller possum just rolls her eyes and pushes off the wall, not bothering to greet either of us beyond an acknowledging eyebrow raise in my direction. I want to bet. You want to bet? Oh yeah, one of the soccer guys on the boys team bet that I couldn't outrun him. His loss. I hope you're not using your savings on betting and put a lot of hours making sure you can save that money up. I suddenly feel very out of place in this conversation. Thankfully, it doesn't look particularly hostile. Neither of them look upset beyond Charlie's exasperated expression and perpetual eye rolling. God, Mom, I'm not. I don't take bets I won't win. Everyone knows that. It's not risking anything if you know you're going to win, is it? Why would anyone take the bet if they know you don't bet if you're not going to win? Simple, ego. You know how guys are. They can't handle the idea that maybe a girl is better at sports than them. Their tiny brains can't comprehend that maybe they'd lose to a girl. She emphasizes the end of the last sentence with a pretend gagging motion that makes Leigh smile, even if it's clear he's trying his best to keep a stern face. He quickly gives it up, though, and the both of them are laughing. You kick his butt? Obviously, he's not even that good. It's only because the soccer team doesn't have much talent this year that he's even on it. The whole girls' team could kick their ass, but the coaches won't let us. Why not? That doesn't seem fair. This seemed like a good time to try and enter the conversation. Things have simmered down and I'm feeling a little left out. It works out because Charlie doesn't hesitate to bring me in. Because they know we beat their ass. Language. Oh, that's where it's coming from you. Anyway, they're scared we'll beat them so bad that it'll hurt their egos too much. Too bad for morale, apparently. They tell you that? Well, our coach did. She's always real with us. The boys' coach would never admit it, but he knows it's true. No one expects them to do anything this year. That's not good if any of them want to get a college attention. Wintervale is pretty serious about sports. They'll be replaced before long. Great for us, though. Whenever the boys are doing better than us, suddenly it's all about them again. Even if we're still doing good, we might get some scouts checking us out. Don't forget about your grades. You won't be going anywhere if you're failing chemistry. Good, Mom. I'll be fine. Can we just get going? I want to go see if Juliet is still there. It's been a long... Don't care. Didn't ask. Let's go. Without waiting for either of us to reply, she trots off in the direction I can only assume the shelter must be. Leigh gives a huff before trudging after her, only looking back to make sure I follow. The rest of the walk was mostly filled with Charlie telling us about her day. I didn't get a chance to interrupt. Not that I want, not that I want to. Her high school life is much more interesting than mine. I just hid in the library most days. The conversation often dipped back and forth from Leigh scolding Charlie about her grades and congratulating her about her performance in soccer. It's a little jarring, but I can't say it's not charming watching the two of them go. It reminded me of hanging out with Marcus back when I was younger. I knew as soon as my mind went there that it was a bad idea, but it's hard to not make the comparisons. I wonder if this is how we would have acted if he was still around when I was in high school. I doubt it. Marcus wasn't the type to scold me or try to make sure I was on the right track. He wasn't much of anything in those final years. I made everything so much worse. I wasn't even a teenager, just a self-absorbed kid who just put more and more stress on his back. Just think about that night when it was nearly enough to make me hurl, but I kept composed. But not composed enough that I didn't catch Leigh throwing a concerned glance in my direction. I was just lucky Charlie kept going on and on. I can't deny it wasn't a good distraction until I got my mood back in place. The building was nothing like I had expected when I heard of a shelter for people who've been kicked out. My brain expected something a little more rough, but everything looks well kept. It's on a decent chunk of land that's not only has a front lawn, but also enough room for paths down both ends of the house, leading to a moderately expansive backyard. There are some kids playing around out back. A lot of them are a whole lot younger than I've been expecting. Some of them look young enough to still be in elementary school. What are they doing here? The building itself was both tall and wide, easily making up 2 stories with what looks like to be a sizable attic on top. It would remind me of my house if the roof wasn't nearly double. It looks like a mini mansion. Welcome to America's Shelter for Young in Need, a home to some and second home to one member of our misguided trio. Aren't that right, Ashley? Don't call me that. I thought it would be appropriate for the little trip down memory lane. I haven't been here since middle school. You stay here too? Leigh said you didn't have to. I know I shouldn't be surprised since Leigh supposedly stayed here, but the thought of someone as young as that having to stay in a place like this just doesn't make sense to me. Only some nights, when things were getting really bad between him and Dad, or when I was staying over at a friend's house, he'd come here and stayed. Leigh didn't say anything, only focused on the giant building ahead of us. It's clear that he's lost in whatever memories that Charlie's talking about. This place must be pretty significant to him. Eventually, Leigh decided that he had enough with Dad said if we took off into the night. He made a deal with one of my friend's parents so I could stay there while he slummed it here. I have no idea how long that was. I visited as much as I could. 3 years. It was 3 years. You were here for that long? Yes! You were here for that long? Leigh walks forward and nods for us to follow him through the white gated fence that surrounded the property and separated it from the outside world. He continues the story as we approach the large door of the few teenagers around scattering the moment they catch sight of the intimidating possum. I'd been working for a couple of years by then. I was only a few years away from turning 18, but I wasn't going to be able to support us. I had to make a choice, and I knew it wasn't safe for us either of us. I knew it wasn't safe for either of us to stay. So you two just ran away? Didn't your dad call the cops to try to find you? The moment the words left my lips, I could feel the mood between the siblings drop. Even Charlie, who's normally always got something to say, is noticeably quiet. Leigh isn't even looking at me. For a few seconds, the only sounds were the laughter of distant children as they played behind the building. Eventually, he gives an answer as he grabs a hold of the door handle, not giving me even a glance as a single word leaves his lips. No. He says the door open, giving me no time to process or respond to that information in any way. The three of us funnel, and one after another, the two of them eager to leave this topic behind. I'll have to respect that. Whoa. The interior of the house is just as grand as the outside. In front of the door is a large stairwell that leads to the second floor. Lucius carpet covers the floor, and there is plenty of cells holding what looks like to be expensive decorations ranging from vases to fine china. Despite their beauty, their age is the most catching part of them. The vase looks worn with time, and the fine china, even if it's immaculate condition within its vase, still shows signs of age. While they might have been worth a lot at one point, their value has surely dropped with time. Everything feels extravagant but lacking in prosperity, living in the remnants of wealth. It's like the entire house has a history of its own. The wall adjacent to it is covered in photos, many of which seem to feature the same Ursine family. They all share brown fur with distinct patches of white fur on their faces, making them look like they just dove their muscles into snow. There are so many different photos that look to range back to generations ago. Some of them aren't even in color. It must be a family tradition. Do these belong to whoever runs the shelter? Leigh and Charlie walk up behind me to admire the dozens of frames littering the walls. Just the sight of these looks to improve their mood from what just happened outside. Yeah, these belong to Miss Corrine. Apparently, this house has been passed down for generations. She's fixed and expanded it to try and fit more people in here. She can afford that? I'm pretty sure she's rich or some kind of trust fund baby, but she uses it to help out those in need, so I guess she's one of the good ones. Charlotte. Leigh doesn't hesitate to turn towards his sister. The sheer disapproval oozing off of him at her words would be enough to melt me on the spot. Charlie just rolls his eyes at him. What? I love Miss Corrine. She's great. I'm just saying that there's a lot of which people no one would miss. You can't just... Oh, please, you were way worse in high school. I remember when you almost got an anarchy tattoo if one of your teachers didn't threaten to get you expelled. You used to be based. Leigh is left gobsmacked, only able to stare stunned at his sister. She just gives him a dismissive shrug and turns her attention back to the gallery of photos. Anyway, do you see this little one here? That's her. She told me about this family photo when I stayed here. According to her, it's tradition in their family to have a photo once their child has turned 5. And that tradition looks to be dying with me. The voice comes from above, and all of us turn to the top of the stairs where a large grizzly bear is slowly trotting down the stairs, taking time to scan her eyes over all our group. From the way her smile lights up upon seeing Leigh, it makes the excitement come off her palpable. I can't stop myself from joining her, and it looks like though others have too, even Leigh. I have too many children to worry about already. I can't afford to be adding my own. Now let me get a look at the two of you. Come here. She picks up the pace until she's scooping the three of us into a giant hug, squeezing us against the largest bosoms I've seen in my entire life. I'm so tightly pressed that I can't even move my arms to return them. It doesn't look like the three. It doesn't look like the others are faring much better. Leigh looks like he's about to die from embarrassment if the way his face and ears have lit up in any if the way his face and ears have lit up is any indication. The moment he releases us, I'm able to take the most refreshing breath I've ever felt in my life. The bear hugs my uncle used to give me during Christmas could never compete to hers. Let me get a good look at you, girl. You've grown so much. Your brother better be feeding you right. If he isn't, I'll beat his ass. You know how he is. He always making a fuss about me. He's such a pain in the ass. Leigh doesn't interfere, but from the way his lips are pursed and their glances in his direction it's very clear they're saying this about him on purpose, but Leigh isn't taking their bait for a second. That only seems to please Miss Corain even more. Come on now, that's not very fair for him. Well, that's not very fair to him. You know he cares more than anyone else. I can't name many people who give up their own lives for their sister, do you? Okay, we'll see they have a spite for Miss Corain. You know, it's a polar bear. Well, not polar bear, but she's a grizzly bear. Like my favorite animal. Grizzly bears. I just kind of wish they had a spite for her. A CG of that scene. But no, I'm thankful for that. I swear, he's just a mother hen. Don't give him such a hard time. Now let me get a closer look. I need to squeeze those cheeks. Yeah. While Charlie's being thoroughly and physically examined by the bear, I'm able to get a peek at Leigh. He's trying to look aloof, but from just how deep the shade of pink his ears are, it's clear their words are getting to him. It's strange seeing Leigh like this. I've seen him embarrassed, but this is the first time I've ever felt like he's truly out of his element. He's usually so calm and collected. His eyes occasionally flick over to mine, only to immediately retreat to anywhere else in the room. He looks almost anxious to be back, but there's an excitement to the lashing of his tail. He must be happier to be back here than he's laying on. Now, who is this little guy here? This is Wallace. He's Ashley's boyfriend. How lovely. Charlotte. This is Wallace. He's Ashley's boyfriend. How lovely. Charlotte. Wait, hold on. We're not dating. We're just friends. We met through a group project for our media class. Well, you might as well be with the way you are. Leigh's glare is stabbing daggers into his sister as he finally gets the message to shut up, but only after giving a smirk and a wink in my direction, one that Miss Corain clearly catches. I'm able to finally get a good look at the older woman. She looks to be in her late 40s and very plump. There's a softness to her that makes you just want to dive into a hug. I just wish they had a spy of her and made CG of them hugging. I like grizzly bears a whole lot. You know, I kind of get distracted while reading because I keep thinking this. I just wish they made a scene like that. Maybe eventually they will, but anyway. I'm able to finally get a good look at the older woman. She looks to be in her late 40s and very plump. There's a softness to her that makes you just want to dive into a hug. She's wearing a full body orange dress that's covered in flowers, all of which are warm colors. Despite its large and loose size, it's still tight around her chest to compensate for her large bosom. Despite some cleavage, she still has an aura, a classiness that makes you want to address her properly. The pattern of her fur is the exact same as the little girl in the photo Charlie pointed out. Its color is an earthy brown that reminds me of the trucks and trees. But the true eye catcher is the white patch of fur around her muzzle, looking like someone just had a little flower accident while making bread. She's wearing a tiny pair of glasses that barely fit on the edge of her nose. Their size and shape indicates that they are for reading, but they also help give her the image of a welcoming grandmother you can't wait to hug. Well, it's nice to meet you, Wallace. It sounds like you're a good friend to Ashley. That's good. He never had many friends, only passing faces. Leigh just gives a huff at that, but there, but a barely, but a barely hint of a curl at the corners of his mouth destroys any attempt he's making at trying to look annoyed, something that Miss Corinne looks overjoyed to see. It's nice to meet you too, Miss Corinne. No, darling, don't call me that. Only youngin' do. It's just Bethany between us adults. No Beth, though. That's my grandma. Oh, I'm sorry. It's nice to meet you too, Bethany. Aren't you a gentleman? This boy's much nicer than the ones you usually brought home, Ashley. He's just a sweetheart. I hope you're not as rough as you are with those boys. We're not dating, Miss Coraine. Don't listen to Charlie. You know she just likes to stir shit up. Language, young man. Sorry. Stuff. But still stuff up, ma'am. The interaction didn't even feel real, but from the one, Charlie immediately breaks into heavier laughter, only to be immediately met with scolding from Leigh, makes it very clear that that really did just happen. I've never seen Leigh talk to someone with such respect. You must be a good friend if he's willing to be so protective of you. Ashley always was one to care a little too much about those he's close with. I'm trying my best. We only met recently, but Leigh's already been months, already been such a good friend to me. It's nice to have someone as great as him helping me out. Well, I say you're doing a great job. She now turns to Leigh, and from the way the possum stiffens, this is likely what's been keeping him nervous the entire time. Ashley, look at you. You're like a different man, all grown up. Graham said you completely changed your style, and I didn't believe him for a second, but look at you. Go by Leigh now. Ah, that's a lovely name. Well, Leigh, what brings you here after all this time? I have a feeling it isn't to catch up. Leigh looks over towards Charlie, who nods at some hidden arrangement between the two of them. She tugs on the older woman's sleeve, quickly bringing her attention. Do you know if Juliet's still around? We haven't seen each other in years. It's hard to meet up when she doesn't go to Winterville. She just got home shortly before you. She's out back with Eve. They're still together? Of course they are. Ah, young love. They're going. They're going to go far. They're going to go far. Juliet was willing to get kicked out of her house for her. That's commitment. Stupid commitment, but I'm always impressed by her. Miss Corinne notices my confusion and leans down to whisper into my ear, though it's pointless since she doesn't hush her volume whatsoever, allowing everyone to hear exactly what she's saying. Eve's trans. Juliet's mother was white with her. Well, Juliet's mother was all right with her being a lesbian, but threw a fit when she found out she was dating a trans girl. Poor girl didn't deserve any of what that nasty woman said. At least she's got a wonderful girlfriend and loving parents. I'll catch you guys when you're done, Wallace. I'll have to show you around the place and meet everyone. Alright, that sounds fun. It is, trust me. Miss Corinne souped this place up. There's even a dry sauna room for wet towels in the winter. Isn't that amazing? That does sound amazing. I've heard of some modern houses being custom built with those inside of them, but I've never heard of someone renovating their house for it. This place was pretty huge. I wouldn't be surprised if there was even more. Anything for my little babies. I just wish I had more space. There's only so much room and too many children. How many are still here? Lee's question catches me off guard with how quiet he's been this entire visit, but it allows me to gain enough awareness to realize that Charlie's already disappeared. She must have gone to find Juliet and Eve. A few kids have gone off to college, so there's a little less people now, but we still have around 15 kids. 15? All in one house? It was more when I lived here. What? Sadly, it's true. This is the start of the school year, and it's always a lower time of the year. Kids have just left for college after all, but we always get a few over the course of the year. There was around 20 when I stayed here. Leigh sometimes had to sleep on the floor on a mattress when I ran out of beds. I have a lot of room, but only so much. She had an otter who sleep in the pool just to save space. Oh my God. We always managed. We never ran out of place to sleep yet. Kyle just wanted to make sure we had enough space just in case. He's such a sweetie. He still comes around to help out when he can. Suddenly, a group of early teens burst through the door, and the three of us are forced to step to the side as they run through the doors, only to get immediately scolded by Miss Kareem. They slow down to a walk after that. That might be a sign for us to have a seat. Follow me to my sitting room, Wallace. Leigh already knows where it is, but this is your first time in our lovely abode. She wraps her arm around my back, gently guiding me towards a room to the left. I've noticed all the doors are wide open and wedged in place. I can only assume that's to top any of the review. I can only assume that's to stop any of the very energetic kids from hurting themselves while they play. For what we saw earlier, it doesn't look too uncommon for them to run through the house. We passed another young feline coming down the stairs, someone who couldn't be older than 13. The moment she saw us, she scurried away around the corner into what I can only assume to be a kitchen. There's so many more kids here than I was expecting. The first thing I noticed about the sitting room, other than the close proximity to the front entrance in the neighboring house that must belong to Miss Kareem next to it, is just how elegant the furniture looks. The whole room looks like something from the 1920s. There's enough chairs and sofas in here to easily seat 10 people, let alone the amount of cushions scattered around the wide carpet area. Sorry about all the mess. It was board game night last night, and I haven't gotten around to cleaning yet. New college school year means a lot of disappearing students, which means a lot of paperwork. You do board game nights? It was for the young kids, especially new ones. They're aside, so we had them to try and help them make friends. Charlie used to come and play whenever we did it too. The kids love the two of you. You're so good with kids. Wait. The kids love the two of you. You're so good with kids, and Charlie was such a charming little girl. She's gotten a lot more feisty since I last met her, I can tell. She's a brat, I know. How dare you? She's an innocent princess. She gives me an overly dramatic wink before doing a little shuffle towards the largest single seat in the room. Like the rest of the furniture, is well worn, with age but filled with character. Don't feel so afraid. Take a seat, preferably in the sofa across from me. Both of you. I want to see the boy that caught Leigh's attention. She wasn't one for bringing boys. He was actually interested in home. I told you not to. Shush, I want to hear from Wallace, dear. Leigh just huffs and sits on the sofa, crossing his arms in a mild act of rebellion. It's surprisingly childish for someone like him. I guess this place is bringing back some older habits. Leigh didn't bring anyone over? Oh, he brought boys over all right. Sometimes I wish he brought a little less. Poor Kyle walked in on them one afternoon. I turned my attention to the possum, my eyes wide with disbelief. He mentioned that he was a little promiscuous when he was younger, but I didn't think he'd do stuff like that. He doesn't meet my eyes. In fact, he looks decidedly much more interested in the many decorative items littering the walls, only breaking to meet my only breaking to meet our gaze once the silence lingers for too long. No one used the indoor pool besides Kyle. It's too small itself to cool off. He was supposed to be visiting his sister, but she had to delay, and the poor boy got an awfully big shock when he came in. You're lucky all the other kids were playing outside, or else it would have been much worse. It wasn't a big deal. I know. I'm glad you did it, or else I wouldn't have met little Victor. Could you imagine if he had to stay out in the cold another night? The name catches my attention, but now Lee's embarrassment has dissipated entirely. He's just watching me out of the corner of his eye, a little smirk teasing the edge of his lips. Wait, as in Victor, the rat who works at the garage? He's still working there? That's good. I was worried he'd drive Graham up the walls. Then again, he always had a soft spot for the boy, but I guess he wasn't a boy when they met. You helped him get the job? Of course, I couldn't just send the poor boy off by himself once he turned 18, so I pulled some strings and managed to get him a place with Graham. Do you do that for everyone? Only those who need it. Some people's home situation gets better, or they all go off together to sell an apartment. Victor just had issues getting along with most of the other teens. He only talked to Ashley. Sorry, Lee. It was okay. Thank you for doing me. It's okay. Thank you for doing that for him. If there's anything we could do to repay. Nonsense. All I ask for is for the two of you to visit often. I want to see how he's doing. I'll let him know. I'll be waiting. Now, Wallace, stop standing there like a fool and sit down next to Lee. I know you two didn't just come to catch up, or else he have come a long time ago. There's a slight sharpness to her words that reminds me of whenever my mother would catch me staying up late. It seems that guilt works on Lee just as effectively as his ears squeeze against his skull. I don't hesitate to join him on the sofa, but the moment my butt touches the soft surface, the two of us sink towards the middle until we're pushed up against each other. No one directly comments on it, but a barely audible chuckle from the bear feels louder than any words could. Lee tries to keep his composure as he seats for the most part. The only hint is a slight flushing of his nose. This whole situation is making him more susceptible to embarrassment than normal. Even this morning, when things got close, he managed to keep his cool. I don't remember when I started noticing all these small things about him. With how little he expresses himself, you just pick up these little things. The bear has been waiting patiently for the answer to her inquiry, one that I've completely forgotten what it was actually about with all that just happened. I'm sorry, what were you saying? What were you saying before? I got a little distracted. That's okay, dear. Don't feel so intimidated. I was just curious about what you came over for. Do you need a place to stay again, or was it for you? She looks at me with gentle eyes. Her inviting smile and comforting demeanor makes it clear she isn't joking in the slightest. If I need a place to stay, she'd take me in. I've never met someone as selfless as this wonderful woman. No, it's nothing like that. We were just... How do I go about asking this? She's such a lovely lady, and I don't want to bring up something that's likely an awful memory for her. After all, with how nice she's been to me after just meeting me, she must have been so nice to Mercy and Helena. Thankfully, Lee notices that I'm having a dilemma and puts a stop to my bumbling with a hand on my shoulder. We're here to talk about Mercedes Hills and her friend Helena Lawson. She used to help out around here. At the mention of Mercy's name, there's a distinct drop in mood from the bear. It's not enough to completely remove that gentleness, but there's a sadness flowing through her features. Oh dear, I wasn't expecting to be hearing that name today. Can I ask why? This time, Leigh looks in my direction, letting me take back over the conversation. He's already done enough, so I can't complain. He opened the door for me. We had to do a group project on recent tragedies so we can handle them in a respectful manner. After seeing that Mercedes used to volunteer here, Leigh mentioned we should come talk to you. The bear raises her eyebrow and her eyes slide over to the possum, who's now looking down at his knees. Same has completely swarmed his face, oozing from his nearly closed eyes. I'm sorry, Dad. The first time I'll come back is to ask a favor. I always meant to, but I wanted to put it all behind me. And Charlie shouldn't have to remember. His words fade away as Miss Corrine places her hand on her cheek. Her touch looks so soft, like she's handling the most delicate flower. That smile that's been adorning her face has still never left. I'm not upset that you never came back. The only thing I ever wanted was for you to be happy you've grown. But sometimes growing isn't always a good thing. You might just lose yourself along the way. Huh? When you three came through those doors, did Charlie seem upset? She certainly didn't sound to me. She's happy to see some familiar faces. Would you agree? Leigh doesn't say or do anything but give her a small nod. Not able to bring his eyes up, it's hard to see him like this, and I can tell that Miss Marine is feeling the same too. I know you had to grow up fast, and I'm proud of this handsome, respectable man you've grown into. Your sister's more capable than you think, and you deserve just as much happiness as he does. Leigh still doesn't budge. Miss Corrine meets my gaze and nods down to Leigh's hand, which he just used to reassure me and is now resting limp on his knee.